No old business.
Okay, committee or organization reports? Mrs. Shaw?
The Garden State Coalition met last week here in East Brunswick. I wanted to let our board and community know that a search is underway to name a new executive director to replace Lynn Strickland after 23 years of service. And that, of course, is since Garden State Coalition was founded. The Standards Review Assessment Committee is an appointed committee to take a look at the Common Core standards in light of Governor Christie's abandonment of the Common Core. Our Garden State President, Charles Sampson, who's the superintendent of the Freehold Regional High School District, is a member of that committee, and he said that changes in standards are more likely to be tweaks rather than leaps. In terms of a legislative update, meaning where Garden State is trying to, encourage the legislature, they have been pushing for extraordinary special ed costs to be placed outside of the 2% cap, and they also have given testimony to the DOE, and this time it does mean the Department of Education here in New Jersey, in regards to the standards and assessments. As I did last year, I want to review with the board the critical issues that have been identified by the Garden State as being things that we intend to work for during this coming school year, or during this current school year. School funding, we're trying to watch for the unchecked growth of those unfunded mandates. In terms of special education, there's a number of issues in regards to funding of special education. Lynn Strickland was actually a member of the task force for special education, and that task force has completed its work, but the report will not be released until Governor Christie decides he wants it released, and apparently he does not. Charter schools, okay, because of our situation here in East Brunswick, the charter school issue remains something that Garden State cares deeply about. They also have identified Title I funding, SFRA funding. The thoughts there were that we ought to just throw it out and start over again because it has not been used probably, I think, for at least the last 6 years. We also are paying attention to Chapter 78. We are also taking a look at teaching and learning assessment. We would like to remind folks that the PARCC exam is just one of many assessments, and that it is the belief of the Garden State Coalition of Schools that we want to maintain an effort to balance all measures. We do want to remember, however, that kids in New Jersey did pass the HESPA exam, but a large percentage of them were requiring remediation before they could complete college courses. And finally, they've identified the new NJ Teacher Evaluation Program as being a critical issue during this current school year. And finally, one of the members at the Garden State Coalition mentioned that she had heard that there were 120 districts in the state of New Jersey that do not have anyone running for a Board of Education office. Wow. And this is now the second time in a row that we've had uncontested elections here in East Brunswick. And I think that families who care deeply about education here in East Brunswick would probably find it a very rewarding experience to serve on a Board of Ed, and that there are a number of opportunities here in town for you to kind of get a taste of what it's like by offering to serve on some of our standing committees as community or parent members. And you know, you don't want to see this same old group of faces forever and ever,
Oh, you're
right?
one of those
I'm one of those uncontested folks, but anyway, I just think it's kind of a disturbing trend that, you know, so few folks are interested in putting themselves out there to become members of a Board of Education, because I truly believe it's been an incredibly good experience for me, and I think that that's true for many of the folks that are sitting here. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other committee reports this evening? None. We'll move on to the good of the cause. Mr. Coppison.
Yeah. Good evening. First and foremost, I'd like to talk about Respect Week. So over this past week, as Dr. Valesky mentioned, the state mandated that the first week of October is designated as Respect Week. And at East Brunswick High School, we had a couple, like, we went to class and teachers emphasized that this week's Respect Week, so they emphasized anti-bullying, and we wore blue to show our advocacy for anti-bullying. But one interesting thing I'd like to mention is, even though the state designates the first week of October for Respect Week, respect is something that's emphasized every day at East Brunswick High School. Nothing changed in this 1 week at East Brunswick High School. Every single day we walk in and we're constantly showing that we're anti-bullying. We have so many clubs in our school that are focused on inclusion and focused on getting everyone unified as a school. I was walking around in the hallways, I was walking around the cafeteria, and one thing that I like to see is that no one sits alone in the cafeteria. There's not a single person. I remember back in elementary school, I moved here in 2nd grade, and I sat by myself the first day. I didn't have anyone to sit with. And the second day, people realized I was sitting by myself, and everyone moved to sit with me. East Brunswick isn't the township where bullying is something that's prevalent. It's not. Respect is something that starts from elementary and goes all the way up to high school. Respect Week isn't something that had a big effect on this township, because respect is something that is in this township. Secondly, I'd like to talk about the pilot program Dr. Vanilla implemented in East Brunswick High School. So we've only been in the first week, but over the first week, I've seen maturity in my classmates, I've seen maturity in teachers they're integrating technology into the classroom like never before. In my English classroom, a girl took out her Mac today and started taking notes. This is the 21st century. We're moving forward, and it's a sense of, it's a sense of innovation. It's a sense of maturity. No one's abusing the technology. There were fears from teachers, there were fears from my colleagues that people would be using this as a way to violate our honor and integrity code and use it as a way to cheat or as a way to disrupt the classroom environment. We haven't seen that over the course of this past week. We've seen a sense of professionalism, we've seen a sense of maturity, we've seen a sense of respect. Finally, I'd like to mention Spirit Week. As we move into next week, we're moving closer to Spirit Week, we're moving into Spirit Week, and as I mentioned earlier, East Brunswick High School is a unified school. Spirit Week, we always get a huge turnout, everyone always dresses up, it's a good fun time, but more than that, it shows how together we are as a school. It shows how we are proud to be East Brunswick High School students, and everywhere we go, we're always repping Bears. Thank you very much.
That was very nice. But before that, just the technology piece is something that we as a board have encouraged, and I think like anything else, it's a level of responsibility that we provide to you, and hope that you'll respect the fact that that needs to be maintained with the utmost of integrity, and that it's really kind of yours to lose. So don't do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mrs. Becker.
I'm sorry, Lindsay left. I wanted to thank Lindsay Dombrowski and the entire PTA President's Council for hosting Mary, Kevin, and I, the 3 uncontested candidates for the board this year. So instead of an interview situation, they presented us with an opportunity for topics of discussion, and thank also the staff at the East Brunswick Library and Channel. What are we now? Channel
26 or something like
Channel
that?
26. They're incredibly professional, always go out of their way to make us all comfortable. So I just wanted to thank them very much. I also wanted to say to our student rep, thank you so much for just a great job so far, and so early. But what I really appreciate is the well-balanced reports, so that we get a sense of what's going on in all aspects of the high school, and not just, a group or two. It's much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I have a couple of short things. Last week, Mrs. Chu, Dr. Valesky, and I had an opportunity to listen to a discussion given by the Middlesex County Division of the New Jersey School Board Association. And that discussion was on park assessment. It was given by Barry Ehrlichman, and I will probably get the title wrong. I think she's the Assistant Director of Commissioner of Education. And the purpose of that, and I think that there's been a lot of controversy over that exam. Its evolution, its the necessity for it, and its usefulness in terms of assessing students and teachers. And it was appreciative of the fact that she went through the history of the evolution of that test. It's not perfect. It will need to be massaged and worked through over, I assume, the next couple of years. It doesn't look like it's going to go away. And it was nice getting the history of it, because once you get that and put it in its context, perhaps those that are so opposed and those that are so in favor of it may be able to, over time, come to some sort of common ground. But it's not going to happen unless you hear all aspects of the park assessment, and I think that was very useful. So hopefully we could hear more on that in the future. The second thing, and that's sort of piggybacking a little bit on Mrs. Shaw's statement regarding community involvement in this Board of Ed and our subcommittees, in the back-to-school nights that Dr. Valesky and I have attended, again, we've tried to go to as many of them as possible. In each instance, we've tried to emphasize the fact that we have ability and opportunities for people in the community to get involved. Namely, right now, it's the Strategic Planning Committee, which the purpose of which is to outline a plan and a strategy for the school and the entire district over the next 3 to 5 years. It's broken down into several different committees, and most of those committees will have and actively seek community involvement in helping us figure out where we're going to be as a district. At the end of the day, these are your schools. You have administrators, you have a Board of Ed that you elect, you have faculty, but at the end of the day, it is your schools. So I think it's more than just an opportunity. I really think it's an obligation to get involved and have a say in where we go, because I think that is the #1 reason people move here. And so before people come and complain, they should be active participants in the solution and the direction that we go in. And this is an opportunity to do that. So I hope that there are those that take us up on that. And lastly, I'd like to thank everybody personally who was involved in the East Brunswick Education Association's Dancing with the Stars show that took place Sunday. It was Foundation. Sorry. It was a truly humbling experience. There's very few adjectives, well, there's a lot of adjectives that people have used to describe me, but dancer or athlete has never been one of them. And it was a ton of fun. We raised a ton of money for a really good cause. And again, it brought out the best aspects of this community. And as a little bit of an example, I have relatives of mine that had come up to watch this. They live in the Short Hills Millburn district, which has been traditionally one of the best districts in the state. And my cousin has 4 children. On the way home, they had to call to let me know that they were jealous of what we're doing here in East Brunswick, that they don't have anything nearly as exciting there, and they wish they had lived here. And I think that's good company to be in when people from one of the best districts in the state are jealous of what we do here. And likewise, friends of mine who came in from Princeton, another affluent and well-regarded school district, who also said that they're jealous of the community feeling that they got out of that day, and the fact that we all came together for such a great cause. They rarely see anything to that degree there. So I think we're in really good company when people from some of the best districts in the state are jealous of what we're doing here. So I thank everybody who's involved. I'm not going to try to do names because I'll probably leave someone out and they'll get insulted, and I don't want to do that. So I just throw that out there. It was much appreciated. I'll stop now. We do have a need for closed session this evening, so I'd like to move that the Board of Education approve the following resolution. Whereas the Board of Education must discuss matters which are not appropriate for discussion in a public meeting, and whereas these subjects are within the exceptions of the Open Public Meetings Act and are permitted to be discussed in closed session pursuant to NJSA 10.4.12b. Pursuant to NJ 10.4.12b, subsection 7, when pending or anticipated litigation or contract negotiation other than subsection 4 of NJSA 10.4.12 in which a public body is or may become party. Any matters falling within the attorney-client privilege to the extent that confidentiality is required in order for the attorney to exercise his ethical duties as a lawyer. The nature of the matter described as specifically as possible without undermining the need for confidentiality is a legal update concerning School Ethics Commission public opinions. In addition, pursuant to NJSA 10.4.12b, subsection 8, any matter involving the employment, appointment, termination of employment, terms and conditions of employment, evaluation of the performance of, promotion or discipline of any specific or prospective public officer or employee or current public officer or employee employed or appointed by the public body, unless all individual employees or appointees whose rights could be adversely affected request in writing that such matters be discussed at a public meeting. The nature of the matter described as specifically as possible without undermining the need for confidentiality is employee number 12957, whereas the length of the closed session is estimated to be 45 minutes, after which a public meeting of the board shall reconvene and immediately adjourn. Now therefore be it resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education will recess into closed session for only the aforesaid subjects, and be it further resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education hereby declares that its discussion of the aforesaid subject or subjects will be made public at a time when the public's interest in disclosure is greater than any privacy or governmental interest being protected from disclosure in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act.
So moved.
Mrs. Shaw and Mrs. Howard, is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions? Good evening, everybody, and thank you.